much, Ruben. Thanks, Antoinette. This is such a fun show to be on. So we appreciate having this space. So my name is Mariah Sarpong, and I was talking with Ruben earlier. I am not Filipino, although my name, we have the same colonizer. My last name, Mateo, comes from my Cuban heritage. Sarpong is actually a West African name from Ghana, so not at all Filipino. But what we're doing right now, and the reason that we're on this show, is related to SendVIA. I'm a co-founder, and right now we're working with Filipino diaspora in the US. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So my background is actually in insurance, microinsurance specifically, which is insurance designed for low-income people. I spent the last 10 years working in consulting, which took me to many different countries in the world. And I think the thing that it's a little bit surprising, but what drew me to insurance was really the essence of it, and this idea of risk pooling and having a bunch of people or community come together and share in this idea of sharing the risk and figuring out how to become more resilient and make your life more resilient. So my love for community development and economic development found a sort of interesting niche in insurance. And so for the last, as I said, for the last 10 years, I worked in consulting with a lot of development sector clients. That means like the World Bank, different United Nations agencies, government and private institutions. But our shared goal is always to figure out how can we increase people's well-being through different methods. And one of those is how can you help people stay resilient and recover from these unexpected events that happen in your life, like emergencies, disasters, things like this. And so I'm explaining all of this because it has a lot to do with why I'm one of the co-founders of SendVIA and why we care about cross-border families. Matt and I were in the Philippines in April, and really that sense of community, caring about your neighbors, your family, it felt very familiar to me, even though I'm not Filipina. It felt very, very familiar to my Latin American roots. You know, there's so many different reasons that people send money back home, and I'm sure some of you that are tuning in, you're very familiar with this. Sending maybe on a planned basis, on a schedule, every 2 weeks, every month, or maybe it's you get that phone call that mom is in the hospital and you have to send $500 immediately. So we are really trying to look at those underlying reasons of why people are supporting, and then thinking about, could we leverage those dollars, you know, that $500 you send or that 100, could it be spent on, for example, a health insurance premium one time for the whole year? That could kind of offset some of those costs that are incurring. So,
all right. So this is this is our opportunity to really dig in and get to understand, you know, what SendVIA is out to do and out to create. Now, I know that you had started down this path, Matt and Mariah, but like, what was the inspiration other than community specifically to create SendVIA? Because I think seemingly it seems like you could have created anything or done, you know, gone in any direction. I mean, why specifically you know, this arena?
Yeah, as what they say, is there like a frustration in the past that you really that's the reason why you created or motivated you? Were you frustrated on something else, or were you just like so excited, or was there a problem that you really want to solve based on personal experience?
Yeah, there are personal experiences, but first I'll talk about, okay, maybe I will start with a more story level that exemplifies the bigger issue. So if you have ever been in this position, or you talk to somebody who supports family back home, when they ask for something, or there's some kind of big emergency, again, I'll use the example of a medical emergency because I've experienced that personally. And I think according to what we know from our research, a lot of Filipinos send money for health related reasons. But If you've experienced that, getting that phone call or that text or that Viber, WhatsApp message, needing a lot of money immediately, and you feel that burden, not so much a burden, you have the honor of supporting your family, but it can be a financial burden and emotional stress on you. If you've experienced that and you have asked the question, could we do this differently? Could we have prepared for this in a different way? That really gets at the heart of why we're doing what we're doing. So if I can backtrack a few years ago, as I mentioned from my intro, working in global development, it's something that a lot of people, especially that work in financial inclusion, so trying to include people that are excluded from financial systems, especially low and lower middle income communities. A lot of us that worked in that space, we would talk about, okay, people are sending all of this money, and you don't always know that it's being used in the best way or the most proactive way. Like, what if you could prepare for disasters differently? What if you could prepare for health emergencies differently? So this is not a new topic. It's something we talk a lot about, but it's very difficult to do something about it because, number one, the status quo is sending money, just send cash. That's easy. That's become very, very easy now. There are, so many remittance companies that do a great job of sending money quickly and getting to be more affordably. That's debatable, but so this topic has been talked about, but it's tricky. It's tricky to do something that's a bit novel and outside of just sending cash. And there are also regulatory issues anytime you talk about, cross-border business. So I guess to answer your question, Antoinette, the frustration and the problem we're trying to solve is, can we enhance the resilience of these cross-border families and households, maybe in a smarter way in some instances than just sending money? So as I think Ruben and Matt, you talked about it before, last year was over $600 billion globally for the remittance market. So meaning families they sent almost over $500 billion to their families back home in low and middle income countries. So that's amazing. That's bigger than any kind of charity or aid that you're going to see. That's huge. So those are what we say in the remittance world is those are really the unsung heroes, right? That's what you all are, those of you that send money back home. So yeah, this is the market that we're looking at and trying to innovate a little bit around. That's the inspiration. And talking about it on a global level like that is not as inspiring as those stories, but you probably all know those stories, the stories of sending back home and supporting back home. So yeah, that's really the inspiration for us. And we wanted to jump in and be brave and try to do something about it because not a lot of companies have dared to do that because it's a little bit tricky. So we were talking about the insurance, which we do have health insurance and disaster insurance that you can purchase for a family member or friend in the Philippines. But we also kind of went on this journey of thinking about what are the other reasons for sending and milestones. So of course, insurance is always about the bad reasons, right? It's like getting ready for those. But then we said, what about this, like just celebrations or birthdays? And so that's why we have a more physical product, which is a little bit of a twist on the Balik Bayan box. But you can essentially go to our site and purchase the box online, and then we package and deliver it in the Philippines. So it's delivered in 5 to 10 days. So that's the idea behind that. So they're two very different products, but in our minds, they're in that same journey of thinking through, why do people send money back home? What are the underlying reasons?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. That's great. I know that you started talking about the journey and the challenges that came about from creating, and Antoinette, I don't want to hog the questioning, so to speak, but you started going down that path of the journey that you've been on to get to this point. I mean, all entrepreneurs have that journey. I would like to think. So can you kind of elaborate on those challenges that you had gone through, Matt and Mariah?
Yeah, I'll add in thinking currently about what we're doing, because that's as you said, Ruben, I wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night thinking about that. But I want to come back to what you said, Ruben and Antoinette. You mentioned about, well, persevering. That message came through clearly from sharing your experiences, and also adjusting. Antoinette, you mentioned that several times. So I think currently what we have, and I encourage anybody who's watching and this resonates with you, please go to our website. You can buy a product or message us. You can email us. I think our emails have been provided, but we're really at a point right now that we're still adjusting and tweaking what we have to make it more valuable. So for example, when it comes to health, the products that we have right now, the health insurance and the telemedicine, we want to know, what do you think about that? What's missing? What are the pain points that you have? We've already gotten a lot of great feedback. We're headed to California next week to talk with more customers. So we're just trying to make the most valuable products that we can. And so that's right now our current focus, at least for me, is listening to customers and adjusting quickly so that we can then grow and establish that trust that we really need to create in the market. We're a new brand, we're a new idea. And so establishing trust, especially in different Filipino and fil-am communities in the US, is really important for us right now. So again, we would love any discussions, feedbacks, emails. Please, we're here.
Excellent. And I just have a follow-up question. And I truly believe this is also important because Maria mentioned about trust. So now if I'm going to call my mom and ask my mom, hey, mom, can you please switch to SendVIA when you send money to your relatives in the Philippines? And the number of questions she's going to tell me, or she's going to ask me is, well, how secure is it? So what are the security measures that SendVIA do have to ensure that the products, and especially the transaction that these clients or customers do online, are definitely safe, especially that we are gearing towards the advancement in technology. So cybersecurity is definitely an issue.
And I can just give a quick example to sort of demonstrate. It might sound a little bit abstract right now, but if you would go to our website and you want to buy the health insurance, it's called Hospital Plus, you just provide 3 fields of information about that receiver, and that's their name, their phone number, their date of birth. You can also provide an email if they have one, and then they will get a message saying, hey, Antoinette has purchased this policy for you. Do you want to accept it? And then they accept it in the Philippines. That's a very important part of the customer journey for regulatory reasons. So they accept the policy there in the Philippines, and then the gift card is part of that bundle. So they receive these Pluxy gift codes as well as SMS messages to their phone. And so all of this, like Matt said, in partnership with our insurance company partner, Card Pioneer Microinsurance, which they are experts in doing this. So that's a little bit more about the journey, if that helps make it kind of tangible in your mind.
On behalf of Filipinos, I just want to thank both of you guys for being on the show. We certainly look forward to having your presence here, for future discussions.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.